Overview of asthma. Hello and welcome to this microlearning module on the overview of asthma. Before we begin, let's take a look at how asthma is caused. Asthma is a long-term condition of the airways or bronchi in the lungs. The word asthma comes from the Greek word that literally means panting. It's not entirely accurate to call asthma a disease, as the discomfort caused by asthma can be managed to a great extent. This condition arises due to the hyperresponsiveness of the airways along with inflammation in the airway mucosa. Now, let's move ahead and take a look at the factors that contribute to asthma, which are patient factors. Those with hay fever or allergic rhinitis are at a higher risk. Symptoms of allergic rhinitis include frequent sneezing, runny nose, and itchy eyes, especially on exposure to triggers like smoke, dust, blast of cold air, etc. People with eczema or those who frequently experience skin rashes or hives are also susceptible. Individuals with a family history of asthma and other atopic diseases, and individuals with a family history of allergic rhinitis or eczema or allergic tendency are also more likely to develop asthma. Environmental factors. Exposure to cigarette smoke, either first-hand or second-hand smoke, during pregnancy is a major risk factor for the baby to develop asthma. Early life, long-term exposure to tobacco smoke or other pollutants, including indoor and outdoor air pollution. People born via caesarean section. Premature born or those born with low birth weight. Exposure to allergens in the early months of life. Introducing top feed other than mother's milk before 6 months of age. Occupational exposures and living or working in damp environments. In essence, a combination of genetic predisposition and environmental factors can lead to the development of asthma. Symptoms of asthma. Now that we have understood the factors that lead to asthma, let's take a look at the symptoms, which are in the form of cough, shortness of breath, wheezing, and chest tightness. Cough. Asthma-related coughs have distinct characteristics. Frequent and recurrent. Dry, with little to no mucus. Worsens at night, particularly between midnight and 4 a.m. Increases with physical activity like running, exercising, or climbing stairs. In young children, a persistent cough may occur, often triggered by crying or laughing, even when they are otherwise healthy. Often triggered by exposure to dust, smoke, strong smells, or fumes. And most cough medications are ineffective in relieving this type of cough. Shortness of breath. Individuals with asthma often experience difficulty breathing, especially during physical activities like walking, running, or climbing stairs. Everyday tasks where they may feel more breathless compared to others. And severe cases where shortness of breath can occur even at rest. Wheezing. A whistling or wheezing sound coming from the chest is a common asthma symptom. In young children, wheezing can have various causes, so it's essential for a doctor to observe them during a wheezing episode for an accurate diagnosis. Chest tightness. Many asthma patients experience a feeling of pressure or tightness in the chest, especially during an episode. Key characteristics of asthma symptoms. Unlike common respiratory infections, asthma symptoms can occur without a fever. Symptoms often worsen due to specific triggers, such as changes in weather, cold air, smoke, example cigarette smoke, incense sticks, mosquito coils, air pollution, dust, especially settled dust, strong odors or perfumes, certain foods varies by individual, mold growth on damp walls, viral infections like the common cold or flu, and emotional stress or excitement. Simply put, these triggers can make asthma symptoms worse for individuals with the condition. Most significant characteristic of asthma: variability. One of the defining aspects of asthma is its unpredictable nature. A person with asthma might feel perfectly normal at times and even forget they have the condition. Symptoms may disappear during certain seasons, example summer, but return when conditions change, example rainy season. And this fluctuating pattern, where asthma symptoms come and go, is known as variability. In summary, asthma symptoms aren't constant. They can vary from person to person and even from day to day. So, what happens in the lungs during an asthma attack? Asthma primarily affects the airways rather than the lung tissue itself. Unlike chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD, which causes permanent lung damage, asthma is limited to the airways. However, if left untreated, asthma can worsen over time and potentially contribute to the development of COPD. When a person experiences an asthma attack, several changes occur in the airways. Inflammation. The airway lining becomes swollen and inflamed, much like how a wound becomes red, swollen, and painful. Bronchoconstriction. Exposure to triggers like allergens, pollutants, or respiratory infections, example viral fever or flu, causes the muscles inside the airways to tighten, further narrowing the passage. Excess mucus production. The airways produce thick and sticky mucus, which can block airflow. Narrowed airways. The combination of inflammation, muscle constriction, and excess mucus makes it difficult for air to pass through, leading to shortness of breath, wheezing, which is like a whistling sound during breathing, and persistent coughing. An easy way to visualize it: imagine a garden hose. When squeezed, the water flow is restricted. Similarly, during an asthma attack, the airways constrict, reducing airflow and making breathing difficult. In summary, asthma attacks occur due to airway inflammation, muscle tightening, and excess mucus production, all of which narrows the airways and makes breathing difficult. Are asthma and COPD the same? Well, the answer is no. Then why is there a confusion? It is because there are some similarities between asthma and COPD. COPD is caused due to long-term exposure to inhaled irritants, especially cigarette smoke or smoke from wood or cow dung cakes used as fuel, or any other long-term exposure to smoke and particulate matter. Whereas asthma is caused due to a strong genetic component and some environmental exposure. COPD is common among individuals aged over 40. Asthma can affect all age groups. COPD affects multiple organs, while asthma affects only the lungs. COPD is not reversible and is a progressive disease, whereas asthma is reversible. Since COPD is progressive in nature, it has persistent symptoms. Asthma has overreactive airways to trigger variable symptoms. In simple words, asthma is a disease of the airways associated with hyperresponsiveness or panicky airways with no damage or destruction, whereas COPD is a disease of the airways and alveoli associated with exposure to inhaled toxic substances and associated with damage and destruction. Diagnosis. Asthma diagnosis is mainly clinical, and the history and clinical examination of the patient during an asthma attack are quite indicative of asthma diagnosis. There are some tests that can be done to confirm the diagnosis of asthma. Peak flow meter. It is a device which helps measure the maximum flow rate with which a patient can blow out air from his or her lungs. Demonstrating a good bronchodilator reversibility or a diurnal variability over 2 weeks can help diagnose asthma. Spirometry. Spirometer is an equipment which helps us measure lung flows and volumes, which are usually reduced in case of asthma. Demonstrating a good bronchodilator reversibility after 20 minutes of inhaled bronchodilator is usually diagnostic of asthma. Chest X-ray. It is not diagnostic for asthma, but it can help rule out other causes of symptoms. And blood tests. An increased eosinophil count usually is an indicator of increased allergic markers, but it is not a very specific diagnostic test for asthma. Treatment of asthma. The most effective and safest way to treat both asthma and COPD is through the use of inhalers. These treatments are the safest, fastest, most effective, and are on-target therapy. There are two main types of medications delivered via inhalers: reliever medications or bronchodilators. These relax the muscles in the airways, allowing them to open up and making it easier to breathe and provide quick relief during an asthma attack. Names of relievers: salbutamol, levosalbutamol, and ipratropium. Please note that these are to be given only if the patient gets symptoms, to relieve the symptoms. Preventer medications, ICS with or without LABA. These reduce inflammation in the airways, making them less reactive to triggers. By preventing inflammation, they help to reduce the frequency and severity of asthma attacks. Name of preventers: inhaled corticosteroids, ICS, budesonide, beclomethasone, fluticasone, and cyclosonide. Long-acting beta agonists or LABA, formoterol, salmeterol, vilanterol, and indacaterol. Please note that these are to be given regularly, daily, even if the patient is asymptomatic, so that the patient does not get the symptoms. A common question that is usually linked is to identify which one is better, reliever or preventer medications. It's easy to assume that reliever medications which provide immediate relief during an asthma attack are the best option. However, preventer medications play a far more crucial role in long-term asthma management. Why are preventers more important? Preventer medications target the root cause of asthma, inflammation in the airways. By reducing inflammation, they prevent asthma attacks from occurring in the first place. In contrast, reliever medications only treat the symptoms once an attack has already started. The dangers of relying only on relievers. If patients use only reliever medications without preventers, they face several risks. Frequent attacks. More asthma attacks occur due to untreated inflammation. Reduced quality of life. Daily activities, sleep, and overall well-being suffer. Long-term airway damage. Persistent inflammation can cause permanent airway remodeling, increasing the risk of conditions like COPD. The benefits of regular preventer use: reduces inflammation, prevents asthma attacks and improves lung function, improves quality of life. Fewer symptoms mean patients can engage in more activities, and protects lung health, reduces the risk of long-term airway damage. It is important to note that a patient should not stop medication without consulting the doctor. Regular checkups allow for gradual dose reductions and potential discontinuation under medical supervision. How long should asthma medications be taken? The duration of inhaler treatment for asthma depends on its severity and duration of the condition. Long-term treatment may be needed if asthma has been present for many years, with some children outgrowing it, while others requiring lifelong medication. Early treatment can improve lung development in children. Never stop medication without consulting your doctor. Regular checkups allow for gradual dose reductions or discontinuation under supervision. Unlike conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure, well-controlled asthma doesn't restrict lifestyle, and individuals with asthma can live fully, including participating in physical activities like sports and swimming. Many successful individuals, such as Amitabh Bachchan, Indira Gandhi, and Sonia Gandhi, have lived with asthma and have achieved great success. With that, let's take a look at the key takeaways we have learned from this module. Correct inhaler technique is essential. Treatment duration varies depending on the individual. Regular medical follow-ups are crucial. Well-controlled asthma does not limit lifestyle. Treating asthma with only Dirifelin tablets, salbutamol tablets, or salbutamol inhaler will cause more suffering and increase the likelihood of asthma death. Inhaled corticosteroids are the safest, fastest, and most effective way of treating asthma. No asthmatic patient should be denied an inhaled corticosteroid or ICS. ICS combined with a long-acting beta agonist, example formoterol or salmeterol, increases the efficacy of treatment. And myths and misbeliefs associated with inhaled medication should be solved regularly. With this, we have reached the end of this module. We hope this module helped you gain an insight into asthma and its treatments. Happy learning!